prism of psychological horror, we will examine how each monster in Silent Hill 3 symbolizes Heather's anxieties, Alyssa's wounds, and the cult's perverted fate, while also examining why this quote by Vincent matters. Let's take a deep dive. For starters, we must first talk about Heather's true identity in order to comprehend the monsters of Silent Hill 3. Heather is the reincarnation of Cheryl Mason and Alessa Gillespie, the tortured girl who was burned alive by the Order to give birth to their god. If we delve deeper on what Alessa went through, it is truly horrible. At age 7, Alessa was burned alive in a ritual by her mother to birth the cult's god. She survived with severe burns and was kept alive in constant agony at El Camilla Hospital. Using her psychic powers, she split her soul to escape, creating Cheryl, but her burnt body remained conscious and trapped, suffering endlessly.
Is the day of reckoning, when all our sorrows will be washed away, when we return to the true paradise. My daughter will be the mother of God.
Being the reincarnation of Alessa, Heather questioned her own self for years. After constantly moving apartment by apartment with her father, Harry, to not get caught by the cultists. This gave Heather severe anxiety her whole life, constantly questioning who she is and whether the cultists will finally catch them or not. Distorted memories of Alessa's early suffering, Heather's anxiety throughout her life, and our thoughts of being merely a vessel for rebirth. Now, we can finally delve further into the deep symbolism the creatures of Silent Hill 3 may represent. We're going to start with Closers. They're one of the most iconic nightmarish monsters in the entire series. Massive, faceless, and armed with enormous, viciously swinging, club-like arms. The Closer's suggestive outfit and giant smacking lips twist the female form into something objectified and predatory, symbolizing Heather's fear of being sexualized and stalked. If we look close enough, we can see the Japanese message Namuryo Horengekyo written on the back of his head. Namuryo Horengekyo is about reincarnation and the cycle of suffering. Heather's story is exactly like that, a painful samsara and endless loop of trauma and rebirth until she breaks free. The Closer's enormous arms act as barriers, pressing Heather down and enclosing her. The word directly suggests that the trauma never really goes away and is always close by to stop Heather from continuing her path. And now we're gonna talk about the split worm. Aside from his questionable appearance, this giant grotesque worm bursts through the fence in the mall as the first boss Heather comes against, the very place that should feel familiar and safe. Its birth imagery made monstrous, the fear of being forced to deliver the Order's god and her frightful thoughts of being sexually assaulted. It splits open, violently like an obscene parody of the painful rebirths Alessa endured again and again. Its sudden appearance by going through the fence, splitting it, symbolically transforming a mundane, safe place into a site of violation. Its design, movements, and fight arena all suggest birth, penetration, and violation, all central to Heather's fears about forced motherhood.
What? It's the shopping mall just like before. Am I back?
Not yet. I was just starting to talk about Numbies, Heather.
Shut your
Anyway, Numbies. Its name derives from its pale frozen texture and the creature's slow and clumsy movements, according to Lost Memories' Silent Hill Chronicle. When Masahiro Ito was asked about the symbolism of them, he replied, "They are only creatures, sorry." So, not quite fitting to this video, but we are still going to talk about what they could symbolize. Also, a small fun fact before we move on is that these baby dolls from Half-Life 2 seem to make the same sound Numbies do when they die. These creatures may not have any confirmed information about what they could represent, but we still can make stuff out from their miserable appearance, similar to the cult's preoccupation with forced pregnancy and divine birth. These pale twitching figures with fetal postures could mimic unborn children. They may represent Alyssa's lost innocence in a symbolic sense, since her childhood was stolen. Additionally, Heather fears that her life was a cruel experiment, an unwanted child created for a single purpose. Another one of the creatures Masahiro stated that they have no symbolism when asked about are pendulums. But let's also talk about the symbolism they may represent. One of the Silent Hill's most abstract designs are pendulums, which are mechanical, rotating masses of metal wings and blades. Some people view them as living clocks, serving as constant reminders that the cult's prophecy is coming to an end, and that Heather Simons herself is fading away. Some perceive them as mental turmoil she is experiencing, characterized by the unrelenting anxiety and trauma from which she is unable to recover from. Only, this is only theorized by fans, and for me, I just see them as flying past us out to annoy you to death. Still, it's still kinda cool to think about the living clock theory. We're gonna talk about one of my favorite creatures, insane cancers. These grotesque massive lumps of pulsating flesh that appear nearly helpless until they stand up. They are frequently interpreted as representations of the corrupted body and the fear of one's own flesh betraying itself. Lost Memories' Silent Hill Chronicle describes them as cancer running wild, directly suggesting the idea of unchecked corruption. This also mirrors Alyssa's psychological state. Her feelings of self-hatred and worthlessness after years of abuse could have manifested as a sense that she herself is a cancer, something monstrous and unclean that persists even when it should die. Insane cancer's mimicry of dying, falling over and over again, only to rise again, most likely symbolizes this. Insane cancer's name is not just about literal disease, but a metaphor for the corruption of innocence and the violation of natural order, just as Alyssa's body was violated by the cult's ritual. Heather's battle is, in a sense, a fight against this cancerous cycle, to purge the god from her body and free herself from the order's control. So the insane cancer is both a manifestation of what she fears and what she must overcome, the disease legacy left by her past.
Oh. Dad, I'm home. Listen, something really crazy's going on. I think we should... Dad? Dad?
The missionary. These religious fanatics serve as a reminder that the Order will stop at nothing to reach their goals, including killing Harry Mason. The missionary stands out as one of the most disturbing enemies. not just for how it looks, but for what it represents. It's a member of the Order twisted into a monster by Claudia's power, and in Heather's eyes, it's the embodiment of religious fanatics. The name missionary hints at someone sent on a mission to convert or persuade, just like Claudia tries to force Heather to become the vessel for their god. The missionary's surgical look and its long-bladed weapons are grotesque echoes of medical instruments used in dilation in Carthage, a procedure tied to miscarriage or abortion. This fits silently to its running theme of maternity and bodily violation, turning the missionary into a symbol of forced control over Heather's body and her unwanted role as the cult's mother-to-be. Some interpret its weapons as phallic, connecting it to the game's recurring motifs of sexual violence. Similar to the missionary, we have the Scrapers. They are humanoid monsters who appear later in the game, and they might actually be Order members or simply Claudia's vision of them made real. They scrape their blades together, giving them their name, but they also echo the missionary in form and function. The Scrapers can be seen as constant reminders of Heather's unresolved rage over her father's murder. Like the missionary, the Scrapers also tie back to the same themes of forced maternity and medical violation. Coming from this, we can say the missionary and the Scrapers are martyrs and perverted representations of religious violence. Then there's the Glutton, a massive stationary sack of flesh with an insatiable hunger that blocks your way forward. According to Lost Memory's Silent Hill Chronicle, the Glutton's grotesque form is actually manifested by the Otherworld itself, born from the town's power to shape nightmares into reality. Its name comes from the story Tu Fui Ego Eris, which tells of a monstrous creature that devoured knights and villagers who tried to escape their village. The fairy tale adds another layer. It speaks of a priestess who was killed, resurrected out of compassion, and then returned to defeat the monster, mirroring Heather's own struggle to break free from the cult's cycle of death and rebirth.
Leonard, where are you?
Thank you. Now I can finally leave here. Now Claudia's ridiculous dream is over. Well, I guess it's time to dispose of her. The salvation of all mankind. Ha! Why must we reward even the unbelievers?
What are you talking about?
About our plans, of course. It's true that God is merciful, but first, one must be chosen. Only we, who hearken to the voice of God, will be given the keys to paradise. Don't you think so, Leonard?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and think whatever you want.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that I don't think the way you guys do. I don't want any part of that kind of paradise.
You're an unbeliever. You deceived me.
I didn't deceive you. We were both just wrong about each other. I thought you were a normal person.
So you tried to trick me so you can run off with my seal, eh? Heretic! You plan to destroy God!
I told you I wasn't trying to trick anyone. What is this seal thing anyway?
Don't play innocent. You can't fool me anymore. The seal is mine! I was appointed by God to be its guardian! The only thing you'll get from me is a gruesome death.
Is that you?
Death to all who turn their backs on God!
Is every person here a mental case?
Leonard Wu, once thought to be an ordinary human and a probable ally by Heather, who later turned out to be a crazed inhuman enemy after she denied the Order's god. It can be debated whether he turned this way by the Otherworld's influence afterwards, or consumed by his madness and how he treated Claudia. This is suggested by his normal-sounding human voice, even though his appearance is grotesque.
Strange animal-like grunting echoes alongside his speech, creating a dissonance that implies his monster form might not align with his human self, or that he has become something inhuman altogether. Another theory is that Leonard was so consumed by his own madness and the corruption of the other world that he transformed into a monster, reflecting his abusive and controlling nature.
It's a wide-known fact that Leonard was physically and psychologically abusive towards his daughter, Claudia. The grotesque swollen arms of his monster's form may symbolize the hands that beat her, while the deep slits on his back, reminiscent of whip scars, could represent Claudia's suppressed anger and desire to see her father punished for the suffering he caused her. Regardless of the theories, Heather no longer recognizes Leonard as a human before she kills him, ending his miserable life. The Slurpers, again, according to Lost Memories Silent Hill Chronicle, they're named after how they suck up blood and flesh. Many fans see them as symbols of Heather's fear of sexual assault. They look like muscular men in underwear. They knock her down, climb on top of her, and their motions seem like they're trying to peek under her skirt. Their long snout can also be seen as having disturbing sexual or phallic undertones. The Slurpers' sucking behavior could hint at abortion or miscarriage fears, connecting to how the cult wants Heather to give birth to their god. Some even think they symbolize children, crawling on the ground, grabbing her leg like clingy kids, mixing childlike behavior with threatening adult bodies. And finally, they may be a nod to the Romper from the first game, another aggressive monster that pins its victim down. Doubleheads. They are another type of enemy that pins Heather down, and they are the manifestations of Heather's subconscious, influenced by the image of Alessa after she was put through the ritual. If you look close enough, you can see the burn scars and the bandages on the creature's body. According to Masahiro Ito, these creatures were placed at the start of the game to signal that Heather was entering an hellish world. Their split jaws are an homage to the Cerberus from the Greek mythology, Watchdogs of Hell. Nurses. Similar to Lisa Garland and the Bubblehead nurses in design, the nurses in Silent Hill 3 might be transformed human nurses from Brookhaven Hospital. They also look like the Fukuro lady from 2001 short movie, Fukuro. Masahiro Ito says they're a mix of the puppet nurse and the Bubblehead nurse from Silent Hill 2. But their look doesn't have a special meaning beyond reflecting Heather's subconscious memories of Lisa Garland. Nurses in Silent Hill 3, similar to Silent Hill 2, also have red squares covering their mouths. These tie into the fleshy, chaotic otherworld that mirrors Heather's and Alessa's mental states. The mouth symbolizes the shrieking madness Alessa felt from years of abuse and bullying. So the nurse's design is partly a throwback and partly a reflection of the Heather's inner turmoil. And all of this brings us back to Vincent's famous line.
They look like monsters to you? Oh, don't worry. It's just a joke.
The monsters in Silent Hill 3 persist because they serve as a reminder of what we are truly afraid of, which is not the darkness in the fog, but rather the darkness within ourselves. It could be one of the biggest revelations of Silent Hill. Vincent implies that not everyone views the monsters Heather battles as monsters. Perhaps they're actual people, or perhaps they're merely projections of her anger and trauma. They are the way her mind perceives the horrors around her. The idea that Silent Hill is a mirror of the mind. The mind, not just the town, is where the monsters originate. In the second part of the video, we will further examine the meaning behind this quote, and talk about memory of Alessa, Waltil, and the god.